All right, guys, I want to introduce you to our resident club fitter, Mr. John Hutzer. You're going to be seeing him in future content by himself with me as we go over all aspects of clubs, club fitting gear, new clubs that are coming out, what you need to do with your clubs and your game to keep improving in 2023 and beyond. I'm super excited to have John on the channel and you guys get to watch some of his awesome content. So let's dive into this video on one aspect that you need to look at to make sure that you can get the maximum distance out of your driver this year. Let's dive right in.
So what's up, everybody? My name is John. I happen to be the resident club fitter on the Eric Cogorno team. And when I'm not responding to questions in the Facebook community, you can find me at Swing Fit, building and fitting golf clubs for our customers day in and day out, because I'm a firm believer that technique and delivery can get you half the way. But the other side of the coin does come down to the clubs that you put into your hands. And you know, if you put the right gear in your hands, bet you just might be able to make the technique and delivery a little bit easier. So with that said, in today's video, I'm going to address the other side of the coin, and we're going to share one key thing that robs more of our customers of those extra yards off the tee box. And if you feel you're leaving a little extra yards on the table, then today's a good day to watch, so let's jump in. Now, don't get me wrong, there are a boatload of things that a fitter will assess and evaluate when we take our customers through the fitting process, but there is this one thing that has the greatest effect when we're talking about distance, and I'm talking about none other than static loft. Because if we're ever going to be able to help our customers squeak out those extra yards, we truly have to be able to optimize their launch and spin conditions. And there's no secret, high launch, low spin is the name of the game, and static loft is how we're able to achieve that. You know, all these other variables such as the golf ball tee height, ball position, and technique can help, but static loft is a set it and forget it type of thing. And the difference between going in an 8-degree driver versus a 11-degree driver could potentially be robbing you of 25 yards. And I'm going to actually show you 2 examples of where that actually applies. And just by going into a different loft, we're actually able to help the customer get into the best loft. But before we get into those examples, I do want to share one quick disclaimer. And that's, today's video is by no means a full-blown fitting session. It's merely a control test where I'm going to have 2 golfers at different swing speeds swinging the exact same driver model, the exact same lofts, and the only difference between the 2 examples is that of the golf shaft. So I have one golfer who has an average swing speed of 93 miles an hour, and I have another golfer who has an average swing speed of 105 miles an hour. So the only delta between the 2 tests would be that of the golf shaft, and for the heads, we're going to use none other than the brand new Titleist TSR2 drivers, and we have it in all flavors, in 8, 9, 10, and 11 degrees, and we're going to actually have each golfer hit a series of shots with every single loft with their corresponding shaft. So let's take a look at the first example and see what we come up with. So as we start to watch these shots unfold, let me give you a little background about the golfer for this illustration. We have a 16 handicap in his mid-60s with an average swing speed of about 93 miles an hour. His preferred ball flight is a little left to right, and if there's one thing he would love to improve, it's to get the ball up in the air, and definitely this is where loft is going to come into play. Now, I'm not sure if he was able to pick up the subtle differences in height between each model, but believe me, there was a pretty profound impact, and loft not only can affect spin, but it can also affect the initial starting launch as well as the apex of the ball. And if we're going to help the customer squeak out some extra yards, getting the ball to stay in the air a little longer is definitely going to be a key to success. And just take a look at this example here. I mean, this is the lowest lofted model versus the highest lofted model, and I have almost 44 feet of separation between the 2. The only difference is that of loft, and we're talking 3 degrees of loft, and it actually kept the ball in the air a little bit longer. Now the question is, was it better? So let's take a look. And sure enough, when we take a look at the numbers, this is like a textbook illustration of what happens when the only difference or the change we make is that of loft. I mean, just take a look at ball speed. We got our best ball speed numbers with the highest lofted driver. We got our best launch with the highest loft, the best spin. And at the end of the day, just please leave with this one nugget, and that is spin is all subjective to the golfer itself. There's really no ideal spin window or range. So if you have a buddy that tells you you need to have 2,000 RPMs of spin, well, that just might be robbing you of distance, just like this example. The customer had 2,000 RPMs of spin, but at his speed, it wasn't enough spin to get the ball to get up in the air. So here we needed to infuse more spin, and Loft is what allowed us to do that. And then just take a look at the ending result. To go from 213 total to 238, that's a total of 25 yards net positive just by going with a different loft. So if you ask me, who's the winner here? Well, the TSR211 is without question the winner for our golfer with a 93-mile-an-hour swing speed. Next up is player number 2 with an average swing speed of 105 miles an hour. And if I'm a betting man, I'm pretty sure we're going to start to see a little different result. So let's take a look at the tracers. In this example, our golfer is a 10 handicapper in his mid-40s with an average club head speed of about 105 miles an hour, and his preferred ball flight is a little baby fade. He does like to work it a little right to left, so here we got to be able to make sure we put something in his hands that won't kill spin too low, because that's when those knuckleballs is going to creep in. Now, unlike in our first example where we needed extra loft to get the ball to stay in the air, this one's a little different and a perfect illustration of why we just can't simply follow the black and white guidelines here, right? So there's no simple cookie cutter solution that if you swing the club this fast, this loft is going to work for you. The only way to know for sure is you have to test and try it. And when we take a look at the apex chart for this example, it's a little different. So one thing you're going to notice is I didn't do the comparison between high lofted versus low lofted, and you're going to see why in just a second. But just look at the difference between the 11-degree model and the 9-degree model. We're talking almost 20 feet of separation there. I mean, that's pretty cool. But take a look at that descent angle. Here, the name of the game is to make sure that we actually get the ball to stay in the air long enough, but we don't want to just peter out. We got to get it to be able to release and roll, so that way you get that free yardage after the fact. So having a land angle anywhere between, say, 37 to 40 is a good sweet spot. And here the TSR29 did a very effective job of that. And even take a look at the ball speed numbers, really kind of started to normalize a little bit as well. And when we take a look at the numbers, this one is definitely a lot different than the first example. If you recall, there, as we stepped up in loft, it just continually got better. But in this scenario, as we moved down in loft, it actually started to go the other direction. And this is where we got to be careful that we don't go too far. And once again, if you don't test each one, how would you ever know? And here we would have likely made the decision to go with the 8-degree because of the customer swing speed until we tried it. And without question, the TSR2 9-degree is the undisputed winner in this result, because not only did it give us the best hang time, but it also gave us the best roll after the fact. I'm talking we actually got almost 27 yards of extra roll after it landed. And that's a good key thing to make sure you don't lose sight of, is we got to make sure it stays in the air just long enough, but once it hits the ground, you want another 15, 20 yards of roll at the minimum. So in conclusion, and as you've seen today, loft plays a huge factor with helping you squeak out those extra yards. So no matter if you swing the golf club 90 miles an hour or 120 miles an hour, there is the best loft for you. The key thing is, do you have the means to find out which loft is the best loft for your technique, delivery, and speed characteristics? So guys, if you have any questions or comments, do me a favor. Just leave them in the remarks below, and I'll do my very best to help you find the answers to the questions you're searching for. So thanks again for watching.